And we are recording. Okay. So I think we have people still joining in as we've opened up. So I'm just going to wait for a couple moments to start. Okay, so since it is a little bit after 7, I am going to start. And I wanted to first introduce myself. Welcome, everyone. My name is Keri Baert, and I am the SVPTA VP of Advocacy. We're pleased to bring to you the SVUSD School Board Trustee Candidate Forum. We do have all 4 candidates with us this evening, so thank you to our candidates. But before we get started, I would like to introduce Michele Sparks, who is the SVPTA President. Michele?
Awesome, thank you. Welcome, everybody. I just want to say good evening to all the SVUSD stakeholders and school board candidates. My name is Michele Sparks, and I am the 2021 SVPTA Council President. I am so fortunate to be in my role this year and to be working with such an incredible team. SVPTA's executive board and all the unit presidents have been creative and adaptive in finding ways to support their students, schools, and community during this unprecedented time. SVPTA is working together to ensure all students' voices are being heard, and we support them where they are at during COVID. One key role of PTA is advocacy. That is where tonight's candidate forum comes into play. One area of advocacy in an election year is helping provide opportunities for all to hear and learn about local candidates and/or issues that impact our children. Tonight's candidate forum is SVPTA's way of connecting all candidates with our community. I'd like to thank SVPTA's advocacy liaison, Keri Baert, for putting together this important nonpartisan candidate forum. I also want to thank our League of Women's Voters representative, Trudy Josephson, who will be our moderator tonight, and also Michele Masaccio. Masaccio. I'm so sorry. Again, welcome and enjoy the evening.
So Trudy, we're going to turn it over to you now to start.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Trudy Josephson, as Michele said, and I'm honored to be here with you this evening to moderate this forum. The Saddleback Valley PTA and the League of Women Voters, the candidates, and I welcome you to tonight's forum. The League of Women Voters is a trusted, nonpartisan political organization that has been active for 100 years. While we never endorse a candidate or a party, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. Keri is going to be the timekeeper. I'm sure that the candidates will be able to see the time on the screen. If not, they're in big trouble. Our candidates tonight are Dr. Edward Wong, Tricia Yee, Armanda Morrell, and Benjamin Yu. I went over the ground rules with the candidates, but I will repeat them so that the audience knows what's happening. The candidates will have 1 minute for their opening statement. Each of their answers will be 1 minute, and their closing statements will last for 2 minutes. Our goal is to have a fun and civil exchange and present the candidates that are running for this office. Now, our opening statements. And we did draw numbers, and this is the order in which they were drawn. So Mr. Yu, if you would start with your opening statement, we'd love to hear it.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Yu, and I came to America when I was 15 years old, grew up in New York City. After 9/11, I decided to join the military service and moved to Seattle eventually after injury and line of duty. Eventually, I met my wife in college, and we decided to raise our kid in Saddleback Valley. It's a wonderful, beautiful place to raise a family. However, we see our society has been more than polarized and divisive than ever. And there's a lot of issues in public education. I think we need a new perspective, a new direction here. And that's why I'm running for the school board. I'm here to answer your question, and thank you for your support.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we'd like to hear from Mrs. Amanda Morrell.
Good evening. I'm a current SVUSD governing board member. I've been governing for 6 years. I started out with an appointment and I ran my first election 4 years ago. I am a resident of SVUSD for over 30 years. I have a professional degree in landscape architecture from Purdue University. I'm employed as a planning practice leader with Jacobs Engineering. I have 2 students that attended SVUSD schools. My eldest graduated from El Toro High School, and my youngest graduated from Orange County School of the Arts. I have expertise and interest in being a champion of public education, as well as looking for and providing options for parents and students. I've earned my master's in governance through the California School Boards Association, so I don't have a learning curve. I'm up. What's happening with the timer? I don't know. I'll just keep talking. I'm a prior chair of the City of Lake Forest Parks and Recreation Commission, and there we go.
I think you've been cut off.
I think so.
So, okay, so next is Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong, would you please give us your opening statement?
Unmute. Am I live now?
You are live.
All right, thank you. First of all, I want to thank the PTA and the League of Women Voters for their sponsorship tonight of this forum. My wife and I have been residents of Laguna Hills for over 30 years, and prior to that, we lived in Mission Viejo for several years. We're the proud parents of 2 kids who graduated from Saddleback Valley School, started in kindergarten, went all the way through, graduated from Mission Viejo High School, and now we're the proud grandparents of 2 children who are presently attending our Saddleback Valley schools. Professionally, my career, I started in public schools, did 38 years as a teacher, assistant principal. I've been principal at elementary school, junior high, high school. I spent 8 years at the district office as an area administrator. Then I went on to the university and spent 7 or 8 years teaching at the university, teaching those important courses of school finance, school law, human resources. And I think all of these qualities together have made me a good candidate, as I have served 4 years on the board and hope to continue.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. And last but not least is Mrs. Tricia Yee.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tricia Yee, and I am the mother of 2 boys, aged 12 and 26. I'm a proud graduate of Mission Viejo High School. My education is in early childhood education. I taught for 10 years before I had my son, who I stayed home with till he was in the 1st grade. I've always been highly involved in the community as an AYSO board member, part of my son's school PTA, and also co-chair for the gala for many years. We moved to Laguna Hills 4 years ago after living in Aliso for 8 years. We run a small business out of our home, which is highly involved in the community and helping small businesses get the word out that they're open. I am running for school board because I feel like we need a mom who has school-age children, a parent just like you, who wants the best for our kids to keep them safe and who really is involved with children and has children. Thank you.
Thank you all for your opening statements. Now, buckle up because we're going to start with the questions. You ready? Keri? Okay. What attributes do you feel are essential to be an effective school board member? And part two of that question is, how has your background and experience prepared you for this role? Of course, those of you that are incumbents can just give us a background of what you've already done. So the first question, that first question goes to Mr. Yu.
First of all, as a parent of school educate, I'm very passionate about education. Sorry, my dog. You probably hear the barking there. And also, I have a very unique point of view as an immigrant, as a minority, and with a life journey across Canada and the US. And myself, it's a product of popular education, and I understand education is an essential part of society for every people here. And my role, also I served in the military, which gave me a unique background and a sense of how to serve my country. And I believe that's the thing missing from our students nowadays. And least but not last, I believe the interest of our school board should serve, our school board should serve the interest of our students, parents, teachers, and the taxpayer. And there's so much special interest in our school board now, and we need some new perspective here.
Thank you, Mr. Yu. The next candidate is Mrs. Morrell. What attributes do you feel are essential to be an effective school board member, and how has your background and experience prepared you for this role?
All right, some of the key attributes are having an open mind, being able to listen, to build consensus, work with a multitude of different stakeholders, balancing different interests, having trust and honesty and integrity. But above all, the biggest thing is being able to govern for all students. And I would say that my professional experience working on multidisciplinary teams with structural, mechanical, civil, interior designers, architects, for a variety of customers, building consensus, analyzing problems, and putting forth a plan that offers solutions, because I have to work with 4 other board members and a superintendent for the good of all the staff within SVUSD. And it's that skill set that comes to the table.
Thank you so much. Dr. Wong, can you weigh in on your qualifications here?
Thank you. I'm going to almost reiterate what Mrs. Morrell said. I think first of all, the best attribute any board member can have is just to listen, because you represent the community. You're going to be out in the community. You're going to be running into people at the grocery store, at the Little League, and they're going to come to you and they want to talk. And your job is just to listen and not to make assumptions on anybody or anything, but just to listen. The next skill is you have to believe that you're doing the right thing for your students in the school district. You know, you have competing sources. And I think, as Mrs. Morrell has already stated, you have to come and build a consensus amongst all these stakeholders. You have your teachers, you have your parents, you have administration. And if you're not a good listener and have that ability to pull a team together and learning to collaborate and have a little give and take, nothing will get done. So I think that's another important skill. I think the fact that as our
More time's up, Dr. Wong, so we
you.
have to wait for your other skills and closing statements.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So Tricia Yee, if you could answer this question, what attributes do you feel are essential to be an effective school board member, and how has your background and experience prepared you for this role?
I believe to be an effective school board member, like the prior candidate said, you really need to be able to listen and you need to be able to collaborate. As a business owner with employees, I collaborate with them. I've had to grow the business. I also manage budgets, all very good. My education background has taught me about teaching, about teachers, administrators, and how to work well with them. It has prepared me for something like this. As a parent, I can understand where parents are coming from. Right now, with all of the challenges that are going on in our schools, I'm right there with them. My heart goes out to them. I can understand and I can listen to them because I'm right in the trenches with them. Those things all make me a very effective school board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to question number 2, we're going to start with Mrs. Morrell and then go in sequence from that point on. So that question is, what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses in the Saddleback Valley Unified School District? What are your plans for addressing the areas of that need improving? So Mrs. Morrell, take it.
All right, so our strengths by far are our teachers and staff, the engagement of students and our involved parents. We have great facilities and we have strong leadership. We have academic and we have extracurricular activities. I won't say fully resourced because we do rely a lot on parents for that. But we have some great magnet schools. So we have options in STEAM and IB and AP. There's a whole variety of things. In terms of our weaknesses, I would say it really has to do with how our school district is funded. We have also the fact that we're geographically spread out and we have a declining enrollment. Right now, we're learning how to be a virtual school district, running a hybrid model. So what I'm doing right now is working to stay engaged and look for solutions that help our teachers.
Okay, we run out of time, I'm sorry to say. So thank you so much for your answer. And Dr. Wong, what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses in the Saddleback Valley Unified School District?
Thank you. I think the greatest strengths that we have in our district are its people. No matter what level they serve at, whether they're the custodian, the superintendent, secretary, teacher, I think the organization is strong by the people it has. So we're gonna say kudos to all of them. Next are our parents. I think in any good organization, the parents have been very supportive of what we try to do here. And the leadership that they help assist us with is just incredible. So kudos to them. I think in terms of what our weaknesses is, we have to determine what our greatest needs are and focus and direct all of our services to what our greatest needs are. Sometimes and the needs change as times change. You know, just think back, who would have thought COVID would have changed our priorities and our spending habits and our needs? But we've also kept our focus on achieving and making sure all of our students achieve.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Wong. And we're going to move on to Mr. Yu for, I'm sorry, pardon me, Mrs. Yi. I get confused with the U and the Yi, so we're going to go with Mrs. Yi for the question, which is, what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses in the SVUSD, and what are your plans in addressing the areas that need improving? You're on mute.
Thank you. I understand the confusion. So I think the strengths of Saddleback Valley definitely are the teachers and being able to prepare students for college and for real life. I feel like the administrators, they care and they're really out there to hear what the parents have to say. As far as weaknesses are concerned, I'm really looking into that. I'm not sure what the weaknesses are. I'm really doing some studying at this point. My candidacy came a little late to the game. And so I'm doing a lot of research and studying to see where I can help and what really needs improving in the school district. I know that getting more parent involvement, as we were talking about before, is always helpful, and having a stronger PTA will always help a school become more successful.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, now we are going to move to question number 3. And the first person to answer that will be Dr. Wong. And that is, question number 3 is, Keri, do we? Well, let me tell you what question number 3. Oh, here we go. What priorities for the SVUSD during your term, and how would you plan to achieve them? So again, this is going to be Dr. Wong.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about your.
Okay.
You have. Okay.
All right.
Are we all right?
Yeah,
so you've got a minute.
Okay, great. First of all, I think the priorities for our school district, number one is certainly to maintain physical responsibility. You know, these are some unusual times now with all this COVID. So our priority has to be maintaining fiscal responsibility because money drives everything in a school district. We still have to also make sure that our kids are ready for college and beyond, or the world of work, whatever they choose. We have to continue to maintain our academic programs for our kids and staff them appropriately. We need to maintain parental engagement because parents are the driving force in our school district. We continue to provide student opportunities for student leadership and student involvement in the world because, you know, we're preparing them for the 21st century and beyond. And I think we also need to provide some extracurricular activities for our kids so that they can stay engaged in school, have a physical outlet, and continue to work. It looks like my time is just about up.
Your time is just about up. Thank you so much. So from Dr.
Trudy,
yes.
Trudy, I just wanted to interject here. The last question, Mr. Yu did not have an opportunity to address. Can we please go back to that last question so Mr. Yu has the opportunity to address it?
Oh, I didn't get a checkbox there. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you. Mr. Yu would be the one to address it. I'm going to put it back up here.
Yeah, here we go. That's why we didn't. So what do you think strengths and weaknesses in the Saddleback Valley Unified School District? And what are your plans for addressing the areas in the future? If any of you I missed, just yell out, okay? Don't let me get away with this again.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Judy. First of all, I think the best strengths we have in Saddleback Valley are the people and the community we have. We have great value in Saddleback Valley, and we have great teachers in our schools, and we have a great staff in the administration as well. And I think there's something need to be improved, certainly. First of all, is some school are oversized, some classes are oversized. And also, we have a really good budget, but at the same time, it seems we are always around the budget there. We probably need to cut the base that and reduce certain part of visual spending as well. And also, there's because the development of the whole Saddleback Valley, we have a little imbalance here. So we need a lot of school reductions of the class. And at the same time, we probably need to open a new school as well in the newer part of the district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to go back to question number 3, and that's Mrs. Yi is scheduled to answer that one, which is what are your priorities school district during term and how would you plan them?
Thank you. My biggest priority is getting parents engaged and to work closely with the teachers. I love the PTA and I would really work closely with them to have more parent involvement. It's really helpful when parents and teachers come together and are educational partners. I believe that when parents are involved with the teachers, there's just more learning going on. So that's one of my biggest priorities. I'd also like to see more after school activities, and I would love to talk to everyone involved with the after school activities to see where the need is. Those are my biggest priorities during my term, and I plan to achieve them by speaking with the superintendents and the other board members to see how that is possible. Thank you.
So much. Mr. Yu, I hope you've had a big enough break because you're up again. What are priorities for the Saddleback Valley Unified School District during your term and how do you plan to achieve them?
Thank you, Judy. First of all, I think the top priority during this trying time is how you can open the school safely and give that the opportunity and the choice back to the students and the parents and the teachers, and especially for those working parents. They need their kids return to the school. And there's a distance learning, there's a in-class learning. It's up to the parents, students, and teachers to decide how they want to conduct their future education. And the second, I think we need to prioritize our budget for the student first. And we continue to improve the quality of education. And the third, I think a teacher who perform exceptionally should be rewarded. And the fourth, we should continue to depoliticize our school board and educational system. And we should not use our school board as a political tool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Mrs. Morrell. Same question.
So I think there's a short-term answer and a long-term answer to this, because this is a 4-year term. Immediately, we need to address our teachers' needs in the classroom right now. They want to provide instruction and they need stable internet. They need the ability to be public facilitators in a virtual environment with students in the classroom as well. They're great, but we're asking a tremendous amount from them right now. We need to make sure that we also address the social emotional needs of our students. That's critical moving forward in the short term, and that's also a long-term element. I believe in neighborhood schools and that our students should track to those neighborhood schools. We should be looking at our attendance boundaries and getting those in alignment. We need to leverage new ideas and connect and make collaboration.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we're ready to go on to our next question. And the first one up is Mrs. Yee. And the question is, how has your campaign been financed? Who are your major financial contributors and supporters?
My campaign has been self-financed with some help from friends and family. I don't have any major financial contributors and supporters, unless you consider my mom. We came to this campaign late, and so we've decided to try to fund on our own, and we do not have any other contributors.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Yu, how has your campaign been financed? And who are your major contributors and supporters? Easy for me to say. Your mic is off, Mr. Yu.
Okay, my major financial contributor is myself, because I believe the future of our kids is priceless. And most of my, all of my contributors are just like parents like you and me. We believe we need a better future for our kids in Saddleback Valley and beyond. And I refuse to receive any donation from a PAC or other special interests. And I refuse to call any special interest to influence this political election here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next is Mrs. Morrell.
So my campaign has been financed by myself. I've loaned, in full disclosure here, because we report this publicly, I've loaned myself about $3,000 at this point. I have about $6,000 in pure fundraising donations. So that's just a little over $9,000 that's gone into this campaign so far. My biggest contributor is an individual. Actually, my top 2 biggest contributors are individuals. I have one donation from the Women for American Ethics and Values, and the rest is made up of probably over 50 different individual supporters within our community.
Okay, great. So Dr. Wong, how has your campaign been financed?
99% of my campaign has been financed by myself. I think the largest contribution I've received so far has been $200 from Laguna Woods Women's Club. And the rest has been, most of it has been, 99 has been my wife and I contributing just our own money.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing public education in California today? And we're starting with Mr. Yu.
As a person very passionate about the education, I've been very outspoken regarding public education in California. We have so many issues from California Youth Act, the grassroots sex education, to continue indoctrination of very liberal agendas, and to the influence of special interests and their supported candidates. I believe we need to continue to depoliticize our school board and put the student focus first, and truly serve the interests of our students, teachers, parents, and the community and taxpayer. Thank you.
Thank you. So next is Mrs. Morrell.
Our biggest challenge is having and fostering a culture of respect for all students and honoring those individual rights regardless of their gender, sexuality, religious beliefs, cultural backgrounds, and more. It is essential that we give students the proper education, have them have choices and alternatives so that they can find the place for them. Not all will go to college. Not all need to go to college. They need to be prepared to go to college, but continuing education, Coastline ROP classes are great, and they're good for some students. But we need to make sure that we're putting students in this world for success, that they know how to balance life's challenges moving forward.
Thank you so much. Okay, and next is Dr. Wong. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing public education in California today? Dr. Wong, you need to unmute. Dr. Wong? Hello? Dr. Wong? Dr. Wong?
I'm trying to unmute here.
Oh, okay. You got there.
All right, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I just lost the visual, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
The biggest
I'll repeat the question. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing public education in California today?
I think the biggest challenge facing public education in California is always funding, because funding drives everything we do. You look at other school districts around it, everybody thinks we get the same amount of money, and we don't. For instance, if we were in Los Alamitos, we'd be getting $300 more per kid. And do you know what we could do with a couple more $1 million in the school district? We could do even more phenomenal things than we already are. So funding is an issue because it drives all programs and everything we do. Our teachers are paid $4,000 or $5,000 less because we're not where other school districts are. We have less programs because we don't get the funding that other school districts do. So I think funding is essential above anything else because that drives everything we do as a school district, everything. So I think funding is probably the first thing I'd like to see changed so that we actually do get what everybody else gets, because presently we do not. And the same thing with many of our categorical programs. We don't get the full funding that other school districts get. So
okay, Dr. Wong, I'm going to have to interrupt you. You're right at your deadline there. So, and Mrs. Yee, if you would answer the same question, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing public education in California today?
I believe right this minute and today it is COVID, and it is getting our children back in school safely, having our teachers be safe, and balancing the online learning with the in-person learning. I think that is such a huge challenge right now, and the emotional development of the children who are at home and not being able to come to school and where they're at, and underprivileged children in our school district who don't have the right access to internet. I think that is such a huge problem right now in today's society with COVID and trying to keep our children safe and the 2 days on and the 2 days off. I feel like it is just really hard for parents who are working to juggle, and we really need to figure out a more inclusive way for all students to be in-person schooled.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to move on to the next question, and Mrs. Morrell will be the first one to answer that. What do you believe is the biggest challenge facing, what steps would you take to achieve a balanced budget and address declining revenues?
Well, when balancing a budget, you have to look at what all of your expenditures are, obviously, and prioritize those expenditures, ensuring first in terms of priorities that the majority of resources are going to the classrooms, right? We're here to serve students, and our budget needs to be spent on the items that directly service those students in the classrooms. In terms of addressing declining enrollment or declining revenues, that's a multitude of factors. So, you look at your operational costs. If we have areas that we need to take a deeper look at, then we need to put those on the table. But we need to do so collaboratively with our parents, our teachers and staff, and our administrators working together.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Miss Dr. Wong, would you please answer that same question? What steps would you take to achieve a balanced budget and address declining revenues? You have to unmute Miss Dr. Wong.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I think our greatest priority is always our students and their education. So all of our dollars have to go towards those kids and their learning. And you go about establishing, the district has priorities, and their priorities are always about students learning. We also have to plan for facilities. Do we still continue to need all facilities as we've have declining enrollment throughout the district? But we also want to maintain our high quality employees, and we don't want them leaving, going to, another school district. So we have to figure out a way to compensate our employees physically and while maintaining physical responsibility. We just can't give everybody everything they need. So we have to maintain priorities. And a lot of it has to do with communication, and the communication that goes out to employees, the communication that goes out to staff, communication goes out to the greater community at large. But it's all about—
Okay, thank you. I think we're at the end of your time, Dr. Wong. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so we're going to move to Mrs. Yee for the same question, please.
Thank you. As a small business owner and a startup business owner, I definitely have had to work with very constrictive budgets, and you really have to take a deep dive into cutting, trimming all of the unnecessities that are going on. And how you do that is you speak to all of the people involved, collaborating with them and really diving deep into where the excess is. And in doing that, when you're addressing the declining revenues, you would then take that budget with the declining revenue and you just look at the entire picture. You take everyone into consideration and then you balance your budget. There's always ways to trim, and there's always ways to discuss and make everyone on the same page. It's just a collaborative effort.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question, the first question will go to Dr. Wong. What steps would you take to achieve a, oops, I'm sorry. Thought that looked familiar. What specific items, if any, would you change about the Saddleback Valley Unified School District Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan 2020? That's a tongue twister.
Sorry, Trudy, you missed me for the last one again. Thank you.
Do you want me to repeat that?
Yes, please.
The last
Yeah.
one.
Okay, so the learning continuity, oh. Okay, wait.
Trudy,
That's-
you forgot Mr. Yu for the last question.
Oh gosh,
about balancing the budget.
I keep forgetting you.
No.
Okay,
it's
so
okay.
so I'm
I'm
going to
so
go back.
sorry. Okay,
This
I'm
question
so
is
sorry.
at the timer. Thank
Mr. Yu, you're supposed to wave your hands at me and let me know I missed you. So what steps would you take to achieve a balanced budget and address declining revenues?
I'm our city's commissioner and also our community's treasurer. We always have a balanced budget. First of all, we need to identify whether it's a budget problem or it's a spending problem. We need to cut the fat, waste, and excess. And also from a business standpoint, we cannot spend the money we don't have. At the same time, we need to prioritize the need of our students, parents, and the teachers. And I believe for the Saddleback Valley, we have a fairly good budget here. What we need is cut some fixed costs. I probably addressed in the previous question there. We need some rebalance to close down some school, reduce some size of the school, and open some new schools so we can give that ideal size of economy.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now I'm going to try to do this right. The next question is starting off with Dr. Wong.
And would you repeat the question again, please?
I will. And this has a little bit of a background that we need to go over.
Okay.
The Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan seeks to address funding stability for schools while providing information at the local educational agency level for how student learning continuity will be addressed during the COVID-19 crisis in the 2020-2021 school year. What specific items, if any, would you change about the SVUSD Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan 2020? Dr. Wong.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I think our LCAP plan has addressed the learning needs of our school district as well as our local control funding formula. Those two things kind of dictate what we do as a school district. They set our priorities, they establish how we're going to reach those priorities and how we attain the goals and what we do if we don't attain those goals. So it involves community input from everybody, from parents, teachers, administrators, community members at large. So it's an open agenda for people to share their ideas and input. Then we as a board kind of prioritize those and say, this is what our public has said that they want us to do. So there has been tremendous input into that. And the board pretty much goes along with what the needs of our constituents said they are.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Wong. Next up is Mrs. Yee. And do I need to repeat some of this, or are you able to see it on the?
I can
Okay,
see it.
thank you.
Thank you. So this is a very new thing. I'm still doing a lot of research on this. I believe that many of the parents and the teachers have collaborated on it. There's a lot of checklists. It seems like there was a very well done survey, and I'm gonna need to find some more information to see if there is anything that I would change about this. Right now, from what I'm viewing, it looks like there was a good collaboration and the teachers are trying to engage the students as much as possible.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question will go to Mr. Yu. And let me know if, do you want me to repeat it, Mr. Yu? And you're going to need to, okay, good, thank you.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
You can see it, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, I will need to further time study this plan here, and I'll probably want to solicit the feedback from the parents and community in the social media as well. So we will have an answer for this one further in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Morrell?
So the learning continuity and attendance plan is a result of kind of looking at our schools during kind of to address needs during the time of COVID. As Dr. Wong said, we really are governed by the local control and accountability plan. That's the LCAP and the local control funding formula in terms of setting priorities and really identifying what we as a school district need to work on in the coming year. That's done through a very collaborative process with input from all of our stakeholders. I think right now we need to be really looking at, there's a great tool that our teachers are using called iReady that's assessing our students and what we've kind of lost during that 6.5 months that they've been kind of doing this distance learning so we can get those students back on track.
Thank you so much. And we have everybody, I got you on this one, right, Mr. Yu? You answered it. Okay, good. I don't want to shortchange you. Okay, you are going to, let's see, first. So the next question is going to go to Mrs. Yi. And that is Measure M. Facility bond did not pass in March of 2020. How do you plan on making the necessary facility updates on school campuses?
Thank you. I believe that our budget is a sufficient one. There we go.
I think, okay.
There we go. I believe that our budget, if managed properly, will be able to do the necessary updates. Like we talked about before, there needs to be an audit of the budget and how it is spent and trim some of the excess things that are going on. I've taken a look at some of the budget areas and I can see that we will have areas that will be able to be updated if it's managed properly. It should be managed like a business, and because of my business expertise, I can really take a deep dive and do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Morrell?
Yeah, so we're going to prioritize what our maintenance needs are. Right now, we have an incremental program using one-time funds to address individual classrooms and spaces across all schools and all campus sites. But what we really need to do to continue to modernize facilities is capitalize on those redevelopment funds and those areas of growth within our city from where those new students are coming, because that's where the additional dollars and resources are coming. So we put that money into the school sites that serve those students in those areas of growth.
Thank you so much. Mr. Yu. Unmute yourself, thank you.
Okay, the Measure bond, the school bond, Measure M school bond was defeated 2-1 in Saddleback Valley. I'm a strong opponent of the Measure bond, and my opponent is a strong proponent of the school bond. I believe this is the backdoor taxation, all the Saddleback Valley residents, which is unfair. As a member living in a newer community, we pay fairly good property tax here already. What we need is, as Ms. Tricia said, we need an audit of the current budget. I believe we don't have a budget problem, we have a spending problem. And as previously said, we need also reduce and rebalance our school district, reduce some size of the old school and open some new school, balance they serve the whole community here. And always student is first, my priority. We need to focus every dollar put into the classroom, serve need of our students. Thank you.
Okay, and Dr. Wong, this question is for you, and I got you a little out of order. That's just to make sure you're on your toes. The Measure M facility bond did not pass in March. How do you plan on making the necessary facility updates? And you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I unmuted, correct?
You did. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Well, I think part of this is we did some good planning before we went out for Measure M. We completed a facilities master plan that was going to dictate which way we went. If the bond measure passed, we were going to be able to do a lot more. But since it did not pass, then we have to scale back. But the plans are already there. You know, we go by age of facilities. We've addressed most of our facilities that are over 50 years or older have already been modernized to some extent. And then we're going down to some of our newer buildings. The last one we did was Portola Hills, which did some very extensive work there. So there's a plan already in place, and we can just basically kind of look at the dollars that we have that we're able to spend and what we can do with those dollars, because there is not a lot of wiggle room left in that budget after we pay for all the things that we as a district need to pay for. So can we modernize some schools? Yes. Can we do it at the rate we wanted to? Absolutely not. The money just is not there. So when we want to talk about what priorities are, we can just go right to our facilities master plan, and it tells you step by step what's the next thing we're going to do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wong. We're getting real close on time here. So I think we are, we're going to go with closing statements. So oh, wait, sorry. Change of plans. One or two more questions, and then we're going to go to closing statements. So hold on to your hats. Did you or your children attend Saddleback? Did you or do your children attend Saddleback Valley Unified School District schools, and what factors contributed to your decision? Is that clear? Oh, and this question is going to Mr. Yu.
Oh, yes, I have one kid. She goes to a nearby school, Rancho Santa Margarita Christian School. I registered her last minute because the school does not open or reopen for in-class learning. And what factors, perhaps number one is no in-class learning when the school year opened this time. And the second, the nearby school is very crowded. At the newer community here, we're supposed to open a school here, but the current board have no action last many years. Thank you.
So the factors that contributed to your decision was that the school wasn't open, is that correct? Or that
the school was not open for in-person learning at the time.
I see.
And
Okay.
also the nearby school is a little oversized.
Oh, and okay.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. Mrs. Morrell? Did your children, did they attend the schools here in the Saddleback Valley, and what factors contributed to your decision?
I have two children. One of them went K to 12 and graduated from El Toro High School. So one attended Portola Hills and Serrano Intermediate and El Toro. The other child attended Portola Hills Elementary School and then went to Orange County School of the Arts from grades 7 to 12. And our decision in going to a charter school, that was his passion for the arts. And it made sense that that was the right place for him. And I think every student needs the right place for them. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Wong, question to you, and I'll allow you to unmute. You're muted, Dr. Wong.
Are you ready? Can you hear me now?
We are.
All right, thank you. Our two children, at the time our kids started school, we were living in Mission Viejo, and they attended Glen Yermo and Montevideo, then went to La Paz, and then they both graduated from Mission Viejo High School. And while they were in high school, we moved to Laguna Hills. And right now, my 2 grandchildren are in the district. They went to Chibuca Mesa. One is at RSM now, and the other one is just starting Chibuca Hills High School. And I got to tell you, they had some excellent teachers and some wonderful learning. And I hope that my goal is to have everybody have the same great experiences that our kids and our grandkids are having.
Thank you so much. And Mrs. Yee, tell us about your children's experience with school. Where did they go, and what factors have contributed in your decision?
My older son, he went to Aliso Miguel High School and graduated from there because we lived in Aliso Viejo. He had a decent experience there. Because we lived in Aliso Viejo at the time, our younger son is attending private school currently. The classes were oversized and we didn't want to switch him when we moved here based on him already attending another school. I graduated from Mission Viejo High School and I had a wonderful time. And I've always thought it was a wonderful school district, hence us moving back and him being able to go to Laguna Hills High.
Okay, thank you so much. So we need to know, let's see, how many, this is going to start with Mrs. Morrell. And of course, since you're on the board, there's probably been quite a few meetings that you have attended. So maybe what we should do is go to Mr. Yu and Mrs. Yee so they can answer this question. How many school board meetings have you attended in the last 2 years? Mr. Yu?
I attended about 5 school board meetings in the last 2 years. And additionally, I reviewed agendas and minutes from them.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Yee?
I started watching the school board meetings in March, so however many that is, and I have gone through the last 2 to 3 years of minutes and reviews online.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I think we're at the end of our questions because we have, we're right at 8 o'clock or very close to it. And I want to give you folks enough time. Well, there's another question. Okay, Keri? I don't know if they want this.
Yes, we have one more question and then we go to closing statements.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so this question is going to go to Miss Dr. Wong. What is your position on incorporating Black Lives Matter and social justice curriculum into the SVUSD classes?
Okay, am I unmuted now?
You are.
Okay. Well, I think right now it's a very popular item to talk about. And I think that all lives are important and all lives should be incorporated into the curriculum. I don't know that we necessarily need to single one out because all lives are important. I think, what the basic premise is equality for all, whether you're a man or a woman or whether you're white or black. It's that we are all human beings and we all needed to be treated equally. So as in anything, whether it's ethnic studies, it's all about comparing. It's about critical thinking of life, asking good questions, challenging people's beliefs to say, why do you believe that way? And it's okay to be different, but it's comparing, and it's about critical thinking and making decisions based on facts, not necessarily based on feelings.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Mrs. Yee, would you answer that question for us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I believe that incorporating social justice curriculum is important as far as actual Black Lives Matter or any sort of organization. I don't think that should be brought up in the classroom. I believe it should be talked about as an ideology and a belief. As soon as you bring in actual Black Lives Matter and or any other organizations that I feel like you are in a way supporting them. So I think the general idea needs to be talked about and supporting equality for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mrs. Morrell. Oh, wait, Mr. Yu, so sorry. Mr. Yu, would you unmute yourself and answer this question about incorporating Black Lives Matter and social justice curriculum into the classes?
I'm an immigrant, grew up in a very humble, diverse neighborhood in New York City. And while I was serving in the military, there's folks from all backgrounds of America will wear the same uniform and serve the same goal. So I believe we have a constitutionally guaranteed equal rights here in America. And as long as we respect that, treat each other the way we should be treated, we are good. And the Black Lives Matter is a political organization. I don't think they belong to the classroom. All life matter. Every life is matter as well. And no life should be mattered more than the other. And regarding the social justice curriculum, I think for our students, I'm a strong proponent of STEM education. I think the key is to learn factual civic history and the fundamentals of America. And the social justice is relatively new and unproven. And we should take time to evaluate the merits of before we put them into our classroom. They have a tremendous impact.
Thank you, Mr. Yu. Your time is up now. Sorry about that. And Mrs. Morrell.
Yes, I believe that we need the right for a safe and prejudice learning and work environment for our students and our staff. So social justice curriculum would be a part of that. But relative to unconscious bias training and really looking at kind of those courageous conversations. When you start to talk about Black Lives Matter, that means different things to different people. There's a political organization that's associated with that, and that I do not believe belongs in our schools. But really, truly addressing that unconscious bias so that all people of color have a safe environment in which to live. I go and I feel safe when I meet people, but there are others in our community that don't, and we need to fix that.
Thank you so much. And thank you, all of the candidates, for being so candid with us and answering all these questions. So now we're going to have our closing statements, and that is 2 minutes for each closing statement. And we're going to start with Mrs. Yee.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, parents. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. Thank you to everyone who joined tonight, and for the PTA for putting this on. I really appreciate it. As a mom, I know how important it is for our kids right now. I want to fight for our kids. It's really important for me that the kids feel safe in school and that we can do some great things. This district is already amazing, and we have amazing teachers and staff. And I just want to join the board because I feel like right now we need a mom with school-age children that's going to represent us. We need someone with the boots on the ground that can relate. When you see me at a baseball game, when you see me in the grocery store, just know that I'm there with you. I have a 7th grader and I'm going through it just like everyone else. I really appreciate the time that everyone's taken to listen, and I appreciate the candidates also. This has been a lovely debate, and I thank you all very much. Thank you.
Dr. Wong, unmute yourself and tell us, give us your closing statement, please. You have to unmute. We can't hear you. Dr. Wong, unmute.
How about now?
There you go. Yeah, that's good.
Me. All right. Again, first of all, thanks to the PTA and the League of Women Voters for your assistance tonight. I want to say, I guess we're known by what we do, not necessarily by what we say. And I've had a track record of 38 years in a variety of positions in a couple of different school districts. So I've got that proven leadership behind me, where I've been principal of schools that have maintained a national blue ribbon status on 2 different occasions. I was principal of a high school that was named one of the top 500 in the country. And that was because I learned how to work with a variety of people, set priorities, establish goals, and go for it. I have a lot of professional integrity. I deal with transparency. I involve all my stakeholders, whether it's students, whether it's parents, whether it's community members at large. I'm a big believer in financial stewardship and how to manage money, how to be transparent with doing that, and taking that fiduciary responsibility very seriously. I also believe in being having diversity on the board. I'm a tri-national person, so it's kind of hard to beat somebody who's got 3 different racial backgrounds into one, but I do it quite well. And I think not only racial diversity, but I think when we have diversity on the board, whether you're like Mrs. Morrell, when I want to know something about a contract, I go to her because she can tell me this is how we do contracts. So I think diversity on the board is good because we all come back to multiple perspectives. And when we have multiple perspectives and we're looking at an idea, the more information we can have, the better decision we can make when it comes to making decisions as a board member. So I'm telling you, as a person, I can develop creative and innovative strategies. I know how to solve problems. And I just want to thank everybody tonight for their hard work and sharing their ideas and being open and honest. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Mrs. Morrell, let's hear your closing statement, please.
All right, I'd like to focus on what makes me or sets me apart from my counterpart. First, it's my extensive educational involvement. I have a proven track record. I've saved the school district $2.9 million from developers. That's hard money that's gone back to Portola Hills Elementary School for school repairs. I've also fought for equity for the students at El Toro High School and was successful as an advocate for lights and bleachers at that school. That's a direct impact that those students benefit from. In addition, in our community, I've been very active with $8 million worth of parks and improvements and making sure we have a really gold gem of an 85-acre sports park. So you have that community commitment. I'm also confident in saying that my leadership and my excellent reputation regarding my abilities stands out. I bring that community perspective. I also have kids that went K to 12. It's recent experience. I still have a student in college right now navigating distance learning. Thirdly, I offer creativity and the ability to problem solve. I know what it takes to sit at the dais. I've been governing. I governed as a Parks and Recreation Commissioner for 6 years, and now I'm governed as a school board member for 6 years. I don't have to ramp up in terms of a learning curve. I am impartial, and I offer sort of really, I've been walking classrooms and I empathize with our teachers right this moment in trying to do what they're doing. I was in school on Tuesday. I was in school again today. So I just have my eyes wide open and can help the district have solutions.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Morrell, and thank all of you candidates for your closing statements. And on behalf of the Saddleback Valley PTA.
Trudy, we need to get Mr. Yu, please.
Oh my God, third time. How did we, okay, Mr. Yu, let's do you.
Let's do you.
First,
The
thanks so much,
mental
Trudy. Thank you.
I apologize.
No worries, third time a
is
charm.
the charm.
Thank you so much for the Saddleback Valley PTA, for the League of Women Voters. We have this opportunity to discuss our vision for the future of Saddleback Valley. I'm very thankful for living in a very safe neighborhood. We can raise our family into a wonderful life. And as a parent, I understand our children future depends on the education. And I'm our city's current traffic commissioner. I understand how bureaucracy, red tape can hinder the efficiency in our government, in our local school, as we see now. As we move through this uncharted territory, we need a strong school board with that strong independence to keep our students' best interests in mind. We cannot buckle under pressure from the politicians or special interests. We must work together, the parents, all the stakeholders, to ensure our kids receive the best education safely and securely. I proudly serve in my community as a city commissioner, as a treasurer of my community. I proudly serve my country in the U.S. Army, and now I'll be very, very proud to serve you on the Saddleback Valley Unified School District. My kid is a school age. I'm here for you, for all of the kids' future. I'll be very honored to have you all here. God bless.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't here for you, Mr. Yu. I'll try better next time. So thanks to all of the candidates who joined us tonight. And on behalf of the Saddleback Valley PTA and the League of Women Voters Orange Coast chapter, I want to thank Keri Baert and her dynamic team for hosting this forum, and the candidates for participating in our government process and being here for this forum. Thank you all for attending this kind of crazy forum and submitting such good questions. We encourage you to check out Voters Edge for important voter information about your local and national candidates, as well as the ballot measures with links to great election information. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.